course, and with Synergis, we're going to do a copy design webinar today. If you guys have any questions, you can type them in the box, and we will get to them at the end if we still have time. If we run out of time, we will take all the questions and we'll get back to you by email, and that's how we're going to do it. So a lot of customers are upgrading from 2014 or 2015 R1 Vault to a new 2016 or 17, and once you guys upgraded to 2015 R2, a lot of you have seen the new copy design tool. So for those of you who are upgrading from 14 or 15 R1, this is going to be completely new to you. Now this copy design tool is only for Vault Workgroup and Professional. If you guys are currently using Vault Basic, this will not apply to you guys. But it will still be nice to know for if and when you guys upgrade to Workgroup or Professional. So getting to the copy design tool is still the same. You can right click on your desired file and go copy design. So now here you see that this window is completely different. Now one thing about this is it is also a standalone application that you can use without opening the Vault itself. So if you go Start, All Programs, Autodesk, Data Management, Tools, now you have copy design tools here. So once this opens up, you'll get a login window. So you will log in to your copy design as if you were logging into the Vault. So you would log in so it would know what Vault you can access. All right. Now I'm just going to come in from here. Now in here, you have a lot more capabilities of customizing your screen that you want to see. One thing you can do now is you can customize these columns to see all the information you want to see. So if you want to see what category or what state or title block information, all you have to do is right click, choose columns, and you can see all of your property information. So if you have title block information, and I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to drag it right where I want. So you can customize these columns just like you can the Vault browser itself. It makes everything a lot more nicer when you're looking for information, trying to gather all the data that you need for your copy design. Now you can also add in a preview. Or the thumbnail of the file. Now, if you're going to add the thumbnail, as you see, it didn't pop up right away. What you would need to do is you would come into your drop-down menu and refresh. And now you see the thumbnails. So you can do all of your properties and a thumbnail, and with your thumbnails, you can get a small preview of what the parts look like, just as another check to make sure that you are copying the correct files that you want. So I'm going to remove that just to save some room. Now you can also relocate your properties wherever you want them to be. You have your category glyphs here. So if your parts and files that you're copying are in different categories, you'll be able to see which category they're in. Now, another check to make sure everything's going good. Now, I'm going to go through all these options here, and then we're going to come through and go through these panels over here on the right. So first we have your refresh. The refresh is only used for creating the preview for the file for your thumbnail. Now, seeing as I came into the copy design through Vault, you don't see a login, log out. So if I come back into Autodesk, Data Management, Tools, 2017, open this up. Now you see here, because I opened it as the external application, I have log in, log out. Now, you don't have those in here because you accessed it through the vault. You're already logged into the vault, so it's not going to ask you which vault you want to log into. Excuse me. So, drawing view. With this selected, you have the capability to assign individual actions to the drawings. So you can reuse or edit the drawing without actually physically opening it by replacing parts and components inside of assemblies. If I don't have this selected, by default, the drawing is going to take the exact action of the child file. So the assembly, if I do a copy, it's going to copy the drawing. Next, we have select references. So with this selected, you'll have the capabilities of giving individual actions to reference files. So PDFs, DWFs, text files, emails, your attachments. So if you have a parts list for an assembly that you are going to be copying, you can select references and have it automatically copy the files with it. Or if you have a base PDF of something that you don't want copied of, don't want a copy of, you can just say reuse or exclude during the copy process. So next we have the automatically copy parents. When this is selected, all parent files, so drawings and assemblies, they will be assigned to copy when you assign a child the part or assembly of the drawing to be copied. When this is not checked, you will notice the parent file will be edited when you copy a child file. And I will show you that in a couple minutes. Link drawings and models. When link drawings and models is selected, each drawing related to a model is copied into the same location and shares the same new file name as the model. So if you have a part and a drawing, if you have the link drawings and models selected, when you do the copy of the part, it's going to automatically bring the drawing into the copy. You're not going to see it, it's just going to do it for you. So you're going to go through the entire copy process on just the part, and with this selected, it's going to bring it's going to create a copy of the new drawing, and it's going to give it the exact same name and put it in the exact same folder. Now, if you don't want drawings and models to be in the same folder, you would just uncheck that, and then down the line in the copy process, I'll show you where you will be able to copy your part to one folder and your drawing to another. All right, so next we have action rules. This is a little different. This is something completely new for the copy design. So Autodesk wanted to give some options, some capabilities during the copy process. A lot of people were saying, you know, I wish there was a way to wipe out properties, wipe out the category, put it in the default state. So Autodesk gave the capabilities here inside of these action rules to do so. So if you're copying a part, assembly, a drawing, and you have all of your title block information filled out, well, the title block information isn't going to be the same from one drawing to the next, most likely. So a lot of customers, they have accidentally done the copy design, went and changed their model, forgot to change the title block because it's already filled out, and the next thing you know, they've got to make changes to the drawing again because they forgot to change the title block. So in action rules, we can come in and create a new rule, and we can give it a, okay, if the author of the file is Joe, then we can come in here and select which properties we want to reset or set to default. So I have this test property in here. This is a custom UDP. So this would be something in my title block. So I would come in here and I would say reset set blank or set value as. So I can, if I click a set value as, I can come in and map it to certain information. So I can set blank and I can add it. Now, if you know that every time you do a copy design, you're going to want all the properties to reset, we can just come in here and click reset all. The reset all will reset all of your custom properties, all of your standard properties. It will reset everything. So these rules that you create, they are very useful for saving time down the road when you're going to have to go through and make changes to properties. Now, to create rule sets, you need to be logged in as an administrator. If you're not logged in as an administrator, you won't be able to create rules. So there are, most of the time, we have an administrator create a rule, and then there are custom apps inside of Vault that you can download for free, and it'll push it to everyone's machine. Or creating a rule takes 2 minutes. A lot of times, administrators will just go through computer to computer. Now, if you have 30, 40 computers that you got to do it, yes, I would highly suggest getting the app to push it to all the machines. Now, by default, Autodesk put in this rule. So I'm going to come in and edit and show you what this rule does. Now, there's a little grayed out, so it might be a little hard for you to see. But every file that you do a copy of, it's going to map the part number property to the file name. So that's something that a lot of people use. They like that. But the next two I've seen a lot of grief on. So I highly recommend creating your own custom rule to do nothing. And I'm going to show you that right after this. So the category name is going to reset. So if you're doing a copy of a part, I'd say 50% of the time you're not going to want the category to change. You know, if it's a finished part and you're doing a copy design of it, well, it's most likely still going to be a finished part. If you're doing a copy design of a tool inside of a tool category, it's most likely still going to be a tool. So a lot of people aren't very happy with the category reset, but Autodesk says they did that because it was an option inside of the old copy design, so they decided to make it an option here. But you cannot delete this, so it's not really an option. You have to physically make a new rule. And the very last one, which is going to remove all iLogic inside of your inventor files. So if you have any iLogic in your templates, it is going to wipe it out. So you need to, if you have iLogic, any iLogic code inside of your files when you do a copy design, if you want it there, you're going to have to create a new rule set to run that. So the custom rule set that I tell people just to do, I come in and I say, if file name is not empty, and I add this. So this will be every time the file name of your copy is not empty, it's going to come in and do something. So we have to give it something to do. So I know a lot of customers do not use this cost center property. So I just tell them to put cost center and then come in and reset. I add that and I click OK. Now I have that new rule set. Now every time I do a copy design, I'm going to be able to keep the category of the files that I'm creating, and I'm going to be able to keep all my iLogic code. So I click apply. That's going to set my action rule, and click OK. So next we have numbering schemes. Now, by default, this Synergis default isn't here. You normally have your none. That's by default your Autodesk Vault default numbering scheme. Now, if you guys have numbering schemes inside of your Vault, so in Tools, Administration, Vault Settings, Behaviors, if you have numbering schemes in here, As long as they're active, then you can see them inside of your copy design. So I'm going to activate this sequential. I'm going to close and close. Go back into my copy design. Now you see my sequential is now activated for the copy design. Now, as you see here, it's not shown, so it's not going to be shown inside of the copy design until I tell it to. So I'm going to say, yes, let's see the sequential numbering scheme. So now, right now, these files aren't doing anything. I'm going to show you the different numbering schemes right after the panel. So these panels, you have actions, your folders, your numbering scheme, and your where used. So these are these tabs down here. So you have your actions tab. So currently nothing is being copied inside of this copy design right now. So I'm going to come in, and I'm just going to come in and I'm going to say copy. So now you see on this tab here, this is showing you what's going on. So as you see on my copy tab, I show all the files that are being copied. If I was reusing any, it would show you here. So you can see inside of here, these with nothing here are being reused. Anything that's being replaced. So if I wanted to replace a custom part inside of the assembly, I can replace right inside of the copy design. One thing I found very useful with the copy design is sometimes you guys have a part inside of an assembly that is no longer valid. It's a failing part and you want to replace every assembly that part is in. You can do that right from the copy design. So you would open up, you would select your assembly that this part is located in, and then you would go to that part, you would right click on it, so let's just say this one here, and we would go replace. So you can come into your vault, find the part that you're replacing it with, select replace, and then it'll actually replace it. Now when you go to replace, it's going to edit, like I showed you before, like I told you before. Let's go just reuse. If I come in here and I replace, just going to replace it with that. Now, as you see, this goes to replace, and this goes to auto. Auto is edit. Auto is going to be editing the file. So that means that the file is going to be changed. So what you can do is you can find that part that's being replaced in all of your assemblies, go to the Where Used tab, grab all those assemblies, copy design, and you really wouldn't be copying anything, you would just come in and replace. So I'm just going to go back to reuse and reuse, and we're going to create a copy of these two. So you see here, I'm showing you that I'm doing a copy of these two, the assembly and the drawing. I'm reusing all of these. I'm not replacing anything. I'm not excluding anything. I'm not removing anything. And I'm not physically editing anything. When you go through your copy design, even if you're only doing one part, you should really go through all of these tabs here just to confirm what you want to do. I know I only want to make a copy of these two parts, this drawing, these two files, this drawing and this assembly, and I want to reuse everything else. So I know exactly where I'm at. That's what I want to do. Now, let me just say, you know what, I forgot. I wanted to add something. New with the new copy design tool, you can add files. So one thing you couldn't do in previous versions of the copy design tool was multiple data sets. So I can do multiple data sets and I can do non-design files now. So I'm going to come into my designs, my stapler, my type 1, and I'm going to add this stapler components PDF. So I can add emails, PDFs, Word documents, Excel documents, PowerPoint presentations. If you have design data that needs to be inside of your new part, new assembly, you can do everything at once so that you're not going through and doing multiple copy designs, and you can check everything, have everything the way you want it. As you see, I'm now copying here my drawing and my assembly with my PDF. Now, next we have, you can include attachments. So if this PDF was an attachment, I could have just came in here, selected attachments, and it would have showed up. Or you can do the same thing with library files. And then next we have copy top node or copy all. So if you know you want to copy the drawing, the assembly, and all the components of the assembly, you can do a copy all instead of selecting everything, Control A, and then right-click copy. If you only want to copy the top nodes, whether it's the drawings, the assemblies, you can do that too. And then this is the create copy button. So this is that's the last step. And I'm sorry, I skipped over this. So before, when I was going through the rule sets, I showed you the default rule set and the new rule set that I created. As you see, the default rule set is selected, so I want to make sure I select a new rule set. As you see, that's now selected. That's going to be doing, like I said, that's going to be doing nothing. That's going to be resetting the cost center property, which ultimately is going to do nothing for me, but it's not going to allow the category to be reset or any of the iLogic to be removed. All right. So here is your panels that you want to check to confirm that you're doing exactly what you want to be doing. I'm only want to copy these three. Now, the next tab is the where used. So it'll show you inside of this copy design what you select, where it's being used. So it's kind of another check to see if what you're copying, is it being modified somewhere else. And you can do it before the copy, and destination would be after the copy. All right, so now we get to the numbering. So by default, it's going to put all of them into just a new name. So it's going to set it as a prefix of copy of, then you're going to get to enter in your base name and your postfix. Now I can easily select all of them, right-click, set values of prefix. I don't want a prefix, so I'm going to say OK. Now my prefixes are gone. If I want to set the values of a postfix, let's just say I want to do -2. Now I would have my base name, which was the original name, and a -2. So you would see here that the original name here and the new name is showing here what it's going to be. Now we have two different naming schemes that I set up inside of Vault, and let's just say we want to use those. What we would do is right-click on these and change scheme, and I'm going to change it to Synergis default. So now you see they're not on the None tab. There's nothing on the sequential, but all three of them are on the Synergis default. So if I wanted to put this on my sequential tab here, this would give a 6-digit number starting at whatever I set it at. So I probably set it at 000001 and count up to 999,999. So I have my Synergis default, which is going to set it as EDS dash and then a 5-digit number. Vault is going to look through. It doesn't show you here because it doesn't know what it's going to be yet. So Vault, once I click go and let it to start doing the copy design, it's going to look through the Vault, find all of the sequential numbers that match this scheme, and it's going to select the next one. And same thing with sequential. It's going to find the 6 digits and just go with the next number. So by default, this is our folders tab. By default, it's going to put the files in the same folder that they came out of. So my drawing, assembly, and PDF are still going to be in this type 1 folder. Now, if I want to put them in a type 2 folder, because it's a second type of file, I'm going to select my files, right-click, and go Copy To. Now, I don't have a Type 2 folder here, but if I select my staplers folder, go New Folder, and let's Type 2, now you can see it created the folder here with this asterisk, and this asterisk is showing you that this folder is going to be created for the copy. So I click OK. Now all of these parts are being reused, so I'm not going to move them, but I could. If I wanted to start moving files from here into my Type 2 folder, I can move them into my Type 2 folder. Now, if you, let's just say you missed a file that you wanted to copy into the new folder, you can drag and drop into folders here. So as you see, I just drug the folder from Type 2 folder into the Type 1 folder, but I'm going to put it back because that's where I want it. Just quick. Okay. So now, as you see here, I only have my Type 1 folder, and I'm going to put these files into a Type 2 folder. Everything's set the way I want it. I'm copying the correct files. I have them named the way I want them to be named, and I click the Create Copy. Now, the new copy design actually uses the server resources, not your computer resources. So a lot of people complained about how slow the copy design was because they were doing massive assemblies with a couple hundred or a couple thousand parts inside of their assemblies, and they were complaining about how long it was taking. Well, now it's going to use the server resources. So a lot of servers are built very beefy. They're very fast machines. So as you saw, the assembly, the drawing, and the PDF work took seconds. So now I can close my copy design. I see my Type 2 folder here, and here are my parts. Now, as you see, my names are 48 and 49. Earlier, when I was telling you about automatically copy parents and link drawings and models, if I would have, in Type 1, just came and selected my assembly, copy designed it, automatically copy drawing, automatically copy parents and link drawings and models. If I do a copy, I'm just going to come right to my folder, and I'm going to select Copy To, and I'm going to create a Type 3. So you see, I only see the assembly, but when I click Go, and now I go to Type 3, I have my, I didn't select the numbering scheme. Let me do that one more time. So copy design, copy, go numbering scheme. Let's put this into the Synergis default. So it's here, and I'm going to copy it to, let's go Type 4. Let's get this. And we see it's in Type 4, just the assembly. I do the copy. And now I have an assembly and a drawing with the same name. Now I know a few people have been having concerns with, they want to have a part within an assembly and in a drawing with all the same name. That can't be done. You would need to do a copy of the part using the sequential name and then rename the drawing and the assembly to match. It's something that couldn't be done before, but people now want that to be done, but it can't be done yet. They are working on it. All right. So one last note, there is something that changed inside of the background of the copy. there's an issue that Autodesk is aware of, that the original create date or creation date, depending on which one you're using inside of your files, is not being updated inside of the inventor drawings itself. There are ways around it using custom UDPs inside of Vault and using iLogic inside of inventor files to get this to work. Autodesk is working on it, and hopefully, I'm hoping that in 2018 it'll get fixed. So I want to thank you for everyone attending.